right, thank you, Dr. Blackwell. Let me say good. Let me say Hotep Abaragani to my Africana Studies contemporaries and colleagues and seekers after the truth all. And let me also say good morning, hello, good afternoon, good evening, but certainly never good night and never ever goodbye, because I always find goodbyes traumatizing. I said I find goodbyes traumatizing. That's personal. That's me. Okay? My name is the Reverend Nathaniel Wayne Martin. I'm the pastor of the New Life Institutional Baptist Church here in the city of Los Angeles, and in the city of Los Angeles, and we are worshiping with our sister church and being hosted by our sister church, the Shiloh Missionary Christian Church. We're located at 8916 South Main. I'll say it again. We're located at 8916 South Main Street in the city of Los Angeles. And we welcome you to our services at any and all times. We have Sunday school beginning at 10, then the morning worship beginning around 11:15 or thereabouts. And then, of course, we're back now into the full swing of evening services. And so we welcome you and invite you to come out, especially on Wednesday night when we are dealing with our Bible study. And we have a very good teacher, Dr. Holiness herself, has been giving us guidance in that. And we welcome you to share in this free seminar. All right? You couldn't, if you were going to Union Theological Seminary, you couldn't get any better teaching than you are getting from us. And welcome you to come and be blessed. All right? The offering that you are viewing at this time, at whatever point in time you view it, this presentation is entitled It's Time, and of course it is a social justice presentation because of the fact that we cannot serve God in a bubble, neither can we serve God in a vacuum. You're going to have to be out here with people like myself, and I'm going to have to be out here with people like you. And so we need to get together and see what we can do to help one another rather than injure, harm, or destroy each other, as our custom so often is. Social justice because of the fact that we deal with the environment, at which we are doing a terrible job of taking care of the environment, and we deal with the economics, which is a huge canard or subject for us in these days and times, because this being a capitalistic country, more capitalist than democratic, we always need finances, and we always having to come up with finances or go after finances. And so we seek reparation because we know that reparations are owed and are due. And despite what the retrogrades are doing there in Texas, reparations still remains a hot topic that is going to have to be faced and dealt with. And as the scripture says, righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. And consequently, this nation continues to sin hourly, daily, minutely, by the second, as it were, because it refuses to acknowledge the debt that it owes to God's people for those 246 years of unrequited toil, even by Abraham Lincoln's eloquent recounting. And so we try to deal with the economics, and we try to deal with the environment. And surely when we look at the environment, we can see the ravages of climate change that are before us. I don't know how many of you saw this week what happened in Vermont and in the New England states, and then the outrageously high temperatures all connected with climate change. Yes, the C word, climate change, and we can't avoid it. It's indubitable, and it's inescapable. I think in the Midwest they have a heat wave that is just going to be sitting there for the rest of the summer because of the increase in the water temperatures of the waters of the oceans, and the water temperatures, the increase of the temperatures of the waters of the rivers, and the climate scientists are now telling us that a variation of 1 or 2 degrees can throw us into a further heightened catastrophe. And so one thing that we have to address in our broadcast is the fact that we have done a very poor job of being stewards over the things that God has entrusted us with. He told us to take charge of the earth and subdue it, and we have failed, and I'm saying we as a species now have failed to live up to that. We have polluted the rivers, we've polluted the streams, we've polluted the babbling brooks, we've even polluted the air, and we're destroying the ozone layer. And so with all of these strikes against us, and then we have the fact that for the most part in this country, the black people, who have always tended to be poor, have been relegated to the areas where the white folks didn't want to be or didn't want to live. When I was growing up in Texas, we called it the bottom. That's where we would raise at, in the bottom. But if you're on the top of the hill, then you throw something down toward the bottom, and by the time it gets there, it may hit me or my family or somebody in my community or my neighborhood or my area. And that has been the custom of this country. The manufacturing base, which has now removed itself to foreign lands, and China, communist China, I may add, originally spewed all of those pollutants and all of those byproducts and waste into the bottom, where I had to live and where I had to wrestle with all manner of respiratory ailments, some not even recognized at this hour. But in those ways, we have to seek for environmental justice, because so many other thousands of people, poor people, were relegated to those outer areas where you had to live where you could and get by as you can, and all of that type of language. But the long-term effects on your health and the long-term effects on your progeny, on your children, on your great-grandchildren, cannot be calculated, because for a long time there was no EPA that would sound the alarm. And now when they sound the alarm, the people in the Congress have managed to muffle their voices and silence the alarm. But nature is now sounding the alarm, and with these tornadoes and these hurricanes, and with this high heat that is now coming to pass, and you've got flooding in areas where you never thought you had flooding, and fires and all of that type of thing. Well, the chickens are coming home to roost, to quote another activist, and we are going to have to face the reckoning. Going to have to face the accounting. We can run, as Joe Lewis said to Max Melling, but you can't hide. And the record and the accounting and the bill is before us now, and America is going, and the rest of the world is going to have to belly up to the accounting table and give an account. And I believe I saw where John Kerry was saying that that the United States would never pay reparations to the other nations that they have harmed down through the centuries. You know, once you leave the boundaries of the United States of America, the capitalists and industrialists from this country, yes, from this country and every other of the European countries as well, not saying that the U.S. is a European country, although it was founded by Europeans, and it took up the customs and traditions of the Europeans and the ways and actions of the Europeans, even including slavery. And so, but my point is that when we have gone to other countries, we did not even observe the modicum of respect due to the environment that we gave short shrift to in this country. But when we went to other countries, we didn't pay any attention to the environment at all. And so those minings and tears in the earth in the overseas in these other countries, where we just wholesale through our refuse and our pollution and our unwanted refuse on those countries, while that bill is likewise coming due. You see, United States and the developed world, if you can call them the developed world, when they were growing, they had they threw caution to the wind, as it were, and they had carte blanche to pollute the air, the rivers, the water, the streams, and everything else, the people. And so the other countries, in other words, have been victimized by our largesse, by our success, and their streams likewise have been polluted. Their land, their people have all manner of and types of diseases, and now we're commanding them to adhere to the green laws, which we didn't adhere to, mind you, and we're asking those people who were undeveloped while we were extremely well developed, we're asking them to toe the line on the environmental development, and they're saying, they're crying foul, because he said, you have caused the pollution that we are now experiencing, and now you're telling us as we begin to develop that we need to slow our road. We can't have the roads and the rivers and the bridges, the roads and the railroads and the bridges and the buildings that we need because of its effect on the environment. And those countries are crying foul, and rightly so, because we've been having a banquet and a feast with no break, no let up. And so quite rightly, they tell us that we are full of it. They tell us just what we are, hypocrites. And as I'm saying we, because I am a citizen of the United States of America, even though I didn't have a part in all of that, because I was just too poor. You know, I was marginalized for most of my life. I didn't get the vote until 1965. And before that, I had to fight these same structural racisms and same structural politicians and the status quo for the right to be able to determine my future by casting a vote. And so I come now to talk about the Democratic Party and how weak it looks, and President Joe Biden, who is running for re-election next year, and is worried, has found a way to give a $39 billion of debt relief to over 800,000 borrowers, in spite of the fact that the Supreme Court said that the HEROES Act was unconstitutional and that he could not do it that way. And so that is a little bit of relief to, like I said, 800,000 borrowers. And if those of you that don't understand, you have for-profit colleges that were not like the Harvards and the Yales and the Browns and the Dartmouths or the Spelmans or the Morehouses. No, these for-profit colleges were put up just to make money. And it's like a person had a job like I used to have with the community college district. All right, if I wanted to move up, I need to go back to school. Well, now I couldn't go to Harvard or Yale or Dartmouth or like that, but I could go to some of these other commercially private schools and improve myself and get my associate's or Bachelor of Arts degree, and ingratiate myself to my employers by showing them my determination, the dedication to improve my skills or improve my learning, improve myself, even though I've been on a job, but I go to school in the daytime or in the nighttime, as the case may be, and I persevere so that when a promotion comes up, I'm ready. I got my hours of that I lacked, or I've got my degree now. And so, but then on top of that, I accrued a whole lot of debt because they don't let you go to school for free at any time. And if you had to go back to school, then you had to go out on your own dime. That's why I always told my members, young folks, you got 12 years of free education. Don't waste it. Make the most of it that you can. Because if you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer, you're going to have over 100,000, if not 500,000 to $800,000 worth of debt by the time you get your final degree, especially if you're a doctor and a lawyer. And the other professions are likewise are very high. And if you go to a Harvard or a Howard, then of course the tuition between the two schools is a great disparity, because Harvard is way up here at the max, and then Howard is way down here at the minimum. I think you can go to Howard for $50,000 a year, maybe, but Harvard is way beyond $50,000 a year. And then you got to pay room and board, and you got to buy your books, and all of that thing. So if you can go to a commercial school where you can just get a student loan, but now you got to pay that student loan. A minimum student loan is $2,400, and a lot of people have racked up a whole lot of money that they have to pay back in the form of student loans. And the bad thing is that a lot of people who went to these for-profit schools could not get a job in the field that they chose, because, like you say, let's put it this way: if a Harvard graduate came into your business looking for a job, and then a Spelman graduate came into your business looking for the same job, who are you going to hire? You're going to hire the person from Harvard. Why? Because Harvard has that has that je ne sais quoi, has that name. But I'm from Pacific Coast College, and I got the same degree and all of that. But you understand, but I've got to pay back that loan. So that is why we applaud President Biden for getting something done to alleviate the student loan debt that many people are carrying into the grave. These loans are not forgivable, and people are dying still owing those tons of hundreds of thousands of dollars. All right, now a lady named Tressie McMillan Cottom wrote a book called Lower Ed, and she, in her book, she outlines all of these things that I have spoken to you about the for-profit colleges and universities and schools that you go to, and they don't guarantee you a job no more, and you may not even get a job in your field, but you still gonna have to pay back that loan. All right, in Rolling Hills, which is right here in LA County, 12 houses had to be red tagged, and those houses were worth over a minimum $5 million each, and those houses have been demolished because the land that they were built on just moved out the way, and the houses collapsed, and the county had to get the people out of those houses, and they had, in most cases, they had only minutes to get out of that house before the houses collapsed. I mentioned that because in Watts, when you have a house problem, you don't get a $125,000 fund set up to help evacuees. But when you're up there in Rolling Hills, out there on the peninsula, Palos Verdes Peninsula, you get the county and the city to set up a $125,000 fund so that you can, get some help, get some, while you're trying to figure out what to do next. Because you can't live that house, you can't rebuild it because the land is slid out from under it. And the bad part is that your insurance doesn't cover that because it's an act of God, as they claim in their insurance writing. And they say that you would have to have a difference in condition policy, which most people up there don't have. Although those houses are worth a minimum, each house is worth a minimum of $1 million. But the insurance said we don't cover that. We don't cover that kind of claim, even though they may have paid their premiums. And so you can see the devastating state that rich people, now I'm talking rich people, I ain't talking about poor people like me, I'm talking about rich people are in. But the government comes to their assistance, whereas the homeless are still dying on the streets here in the city. We had 2 riots here in Los Angeles. We had one in 1965 that we never really recovered from. Then we had one in 92 that we still haven't recovered from. And the government aid was quite different, I can assure you, from what it was up there in Rolling Hills. So you take those things into account, and because that always adds to the economic disparity. You see me looking down because I got a tablet down here. I don't know if you can see it. I'm trying to read off of this paper. All right, but it's the geologists say that since 1950, when those houses, before those houses were built, or while those houses were being built, the peninsula has been prone to erosion and landslide. As a matter of fact, I ran into a lady when I first came out here. I can't think of her last name. Her last name was Sister Green, Miss Green, and she was up there in Hollywood. But she had made a prediction then that California was going to slide off into the ocean, and we all poo-pooed that prediction. But as the years have gone by, it looked like she may have been more right than what we were giving her credit for. She was a black lady, and she predicted some of the earthquakes, and she even told me that you need to get out of Los Angeles, get out of California, because California is going to slide into the ocean. And I didn't believe her then, but I'm beginning to get some second thoughts, because California is having earthquakes and land erosion, soil erosion, landslides. Since I've been here up there in the rich area of Santa Barbara, one day when somebody had just happened to have their camera, and the whole mountain just moved and buried so many houses and people, all right, in that, and it's unpredictable. It's unpredictable. You cannot predict it. They're out there in that rich area in Laguna Niguel in Orange County, where they thought the luxurious homes, they just had those houses up there, and all of those houses slid down the embankment, slid down the cliff, and what one second they had a $10 million house, and next second that house wasn't even worth $1. And that's the way things are going out here in California. So when you see people leaving, it's more than just the economics. Somebody can see the handwriting on the wall. All right, now as I close, menthol cigarettes are back in the agenda. And you know, the tobacco company manufacturers have always advertised with our black media. And how they did it was they advertised in our magazines and in our papers, and they exploited the vulnerabilities in the black community. Because a lot of times the housing people or the jewelers or the reputable people, neither the politicians would advertise in the black newspapers or in the black press. But the tobacco companies have always been friendly with the black media. And they sponsor the Cool Jazz Festival. Cool, that's K-O-O-L, and Cool Cigarettes. They sponsor the Newport Jazz Festival, as in Newport Cigarettes. And the Winston Cup NASCAR, as in Winston Cigarettes. And they buy tables at our church functions. And so, in other words, the tobacco company tries to tie our hands from admitting to the people that 45,000 black people die every year from cigarettes, and that 85% of blacks smoke menthol cigarette. That means 85% of the tobacco profits come off of the deaths and the cancers and the shortened lifespans of black people. All right, and they also gave $7.5 million some years ago to one of our leading black universities, Meharry College, where all of our blacks, doctors and nurses, used to have to be trained exclusively, because the white folks wouldn't let you in their schools to be trained. All of that is before us, and as I wrap up here this evening, we are in a pickle, and so we are going to have to continue to be vigilant and not let down, and don't get discouraged, and don't give up the fight. We have to be as determined to do good as the other people are determined to do bad. It's like they roll back affirmative action. We got to fight to get affirmative action back again. It may take us 50 years, but it's possible. But we must not give up. We must not be weary in well-doing. And as I close, which is a bad thing for a Baptist preacher to say, remember, if you're working for somebody and they don't want to pay you, join our sisters and brothers out there on the picket line with the Writers Guild strike, and our sisters in the actors who have finally joined hands with the Writers Guild, and now they're out on the picket lines together. If you're working on a job and they don't want to pay you, take my advice and don't work for them. Love you. We're out of here, Doc. Thank you now.